John walked home from work, enjoying the crunch of fresh snow under his feet. The frosty air stung his cheeks, but it only brought back pleasant memories of his childhood. How fun childhood had been. At that moment, a child's cry caught his attention. Looking around, John noticed a boy of about 7 years old, wearing a blue jacket and a gray cap, sitting on a bench. The boy was crying and wiping tears from his frozen cheeks. John approached and asked sympathetically, "Why are you crying? What's wrong?" "You see, I lost the letter that I put in my pocket. And then it wasn't there anymore," the boy said, sobbing. "Don't cry, let me help you find it." "Was it in an envelope?" asked John. "Yes, in an envelope. It says, 'To Santa Claus' on the envelope. I wrote it myself, and now I've lost it," replied the boy. "Well, if we don't find it, don't feel bad, you'll write it again," said John. "No. It won't get to Santa in time. And my wish won't come true," said the boy with tears in his eyes. "I see you are already cold and it is getting dark outside. Run home or your mother will worry." "Ah, I'll stay here and look for your letter." "Agreed?" "Agreed. Just send it, please." The boy replied. "Of course I'll send it. I'll tell you what, Santa knows your wishes. He's a magician, after all. So don't worry, you'll get your present." The boy wiped his face with his palms and ran home a little calmer. John smiled as he saw him off. Yes, he tried so hard to write, and then such a failure. He remembered his own childhood, how he had found presents under the tree with a sinking heart, believing that it was Santa Claus who had read his letter. Soon, his daughter will start writing messages to the wizard. But right now, his daughter is only 3 years old, and she doesn't know how to write yet. John looked carefully under his feet as he continued on his way, but the letter was nowhere to be seen. It was a pity for the boy, of course, he must have asked for something important, he hoped. And then he saw an envelope under the bench. He crouched down and picked it up. John carefully placed the letter in his pocket and ran home. His beloved wife Alicia and daughter Monica were waiting for him at home. The house welcomed him with comfort and warmth, and the appetizing aroma of dinner wafted from the kitchen. John took off his shoes and smiled as he told Alicia about his encounter with the boy. "I came home from work and there was a boy, about 7 years old, crying. He'd lost his letter to Santa. And I think I found it. Here, look." John pulled a slightly wrinkled envelope from his pocket. In a child's handwriting it said, "To Santa Claus from Peter White." "Let's read what he asked for, shall we?" Alicia suggested. "Maybe we shouldn't. It's personal, what if we can help?" John carefully opened the envelope and unfolded the paper. Trying to make out the child's uneven handwriting, he began to read aloud, "Dear Santa Claus. My name is Peter White, and I'm 8 years old. I live with my mom and my grandma. We used to live with my daddy, we weren't poor, but my daddy is gone. Santa, please help my mom find a new job. Now she works as a cleaner, lifting heavy things, but she can't, she has a hernia. And please give her a nice dress, she does not buy anything, and so want at the holidays she met in a nice dress. My mother is tall and slim, a real beauty. For my grandmother, please give her a walking stick, she has bad knees. It's hard for her to walk even though she's not old. And my grandmother also wants a warm sweater because she is often cold. She's small and skinny. I'll be waiting for you, Santa. Peter." John finished reading and looked at Alicia. Tears glistened in her eyes, such a bright, kind boy. And he didn't ask for himself, he asked for his mother and grandmother. Yes, such a letter makes my heart sink. Listen, why don't we make Peter's wishes come true? What do you think? John said. "Oh, that would be wonderful." Alicia replied. "I have a job at work that needs an administrator. We could offer the job to Peter's mother. The pay is decent, the floors would be cleaned, and she wouldn't have to lift heavy things." John said, "That's a great idea. Let's ask our friends for a Santa suit. We'll give Peter a real holiday. Can you imagine how happy he'll be? Let him believe in miracles. I'm going to buy Grandma a good walking stick and a warm sweater, and a nice dress for Mom. From the description, we're about the same size. Now that there are discounts everywhere, I think I will be able to choose something inexpensive but of high quality. We have the money, why not use it for a good cause? I agree, honey. It makes my heart grow fonder. How kind and helpful you are, John embraced his wife tenderly. It was at moments like this that he realized how lucky he was with his wife, how they understood each other half-heartedly, how they shared common values. Isn't that true marital happiness? The next day, Alicia bought a walking stick, a warm soft blue cardigan, an elegant red dress, candy, and tangerines for the holiday. John bought a bicycle for Peter. And in the evening, John dressed up as Santa Claus, Alicia put the presents in a big bag, and they traveled together to the address on the envelope, leaving their daughter with her friends. They stopped in front of a small house with lights in the windows, which meant the owners were home. John shouldered the bike, Alicia picked up the bag, and they walked quietly toward the house. He parked the bike in front of the house. His heart pounded with excitement as John knocked on the door. After a moment, a pretty blonde woman in her 40s appeared on the doorstep, obviously Peter's mother. "Hi. I'm sorry, but we didn't order Santa Claus. You must have the wrong address," said Peter's mother excitedly. "Hello, can you tell me if a boy named Peter White lives here?" John inquired, giving his voice a magical, bass sound. "Yes, that's my son." "What?" the woman began, but didn't have time to finish the sentence. Before she could finish her sentence, Peter jumped out of the room and asked, "Mom, who's there?" "Oh. Santa Claus." "Hello, Peter. I got your letter and here I am with my wife to visit you. Accept your gifts," Peter said in a magical voice. "Mother, he really came. That uncle means he found the letter and sent it," Peter cried excitedly. The boy's eyes were shining with happiness. He jumped up and down, inviting the guests into the house. Peter's mother, amazed at what was happening, stepped aside to let them in. His grandmother, a small, frail woman, came out of the room. Peter led her into the room and exclaimed enthusiastically, "This is our Christmas tree. Look how beautiful it is. Santa, I left you a present of milk and cookies." "Thank you, Peter. Your Christmas tree is beautiful. And I also brought toys and lights for your tree, you can decorate it yourself later. But first, presents." John winked. Peter looked gratefully at Santa in his beautiful suit and his wife. "Peter, I know you are a good and obedient boy. You love and help your mother and grandmother. The elves told me so. So here are your presents," John said in his magic, bass voice. With shaking hands, Peter opened the sack. First he took out a soft package tied with a red bow. Carefully unwrapping the package, the boy smiled, "Grandma, this is a warm sweater for you. The one you've been dreaming of. I wrote to Santa about it." The heartbroken grandmother accepted the gift and could not believe her eyes. She put the sweater on and smiled happily, "Wow, it's my size. Thank you, Santa, and thank you to your wife. This is the most beautiful sweater I've ever had." Peter gave his mother a box containing a dress and his grandmother a beautifully wrapped cane. The women looked at each other in amazement, unable to comprehend how this was possible. A huge bag filled to the brim with candy and tangerines emerged from the inside of the bag. "In your letter, you didn't tell me about your gift. You only wrote about your mother and grandmother. That's commendable. But I decided to give you a present too. Come out, it's waiting for you outside the house," John said. "Wow. Is it really for me? A real bike. Wow. Santa, thank you so much for everything. I had so much faith in you, I knew you were real," said Peter, who ran in and hugged the magical guest with tears of joy. May happiness, love and understanding always reign in your home. And we must return to Lapland. Goodbye. John picked up the empty bag, winked at Peter's mother, and headed for the exit. Alicia waved and rushed after him. On the way out of the house, Peter's mother and grandmother caught up with them. Wait, good people. Can you tell me who you are? How do you know our Peter? They looked at him with a look of gratitude mixed with confusion. John thought for a moment and decided to open up. It was I who met your son yesterday. He had lost a letter addressed to Santa Claus, and I found it. My wife and I read the note and couldn't stay away. It was very sincere and touching. We wanted to please the boy with all our hearts. John held out his card to Peter's mother and said, "Take it. Here's my phone number, give me a call. I have an opening for a receptionist at work, and you'd be perfect for it. If you're interested, I'll hire you." "Thank you. I don't know how to thank you." Peter was waiting for a miracle, and it happened, thanks to your kindness. Peter's mother said, wiping away a tear. The heartbroken grandmother hugged Santa and Alicia tightly, unable to say a word all the way home. John and Alicia were silent, overwhelmed with emotion. It was as if they had rediscovered a simple truth: giving joy is sometimes much more enjoyable than receiving it. Especially when you see the genuine joy and belief in a fairy tale in a child's eyes. Of course, the money spent was not a pity. After all, you can always earn money, but it is impossible to buy such moments with money. Today they gave a small miracle not only to Peter and his family, but also to themselves. After all, doing good is the greatest happiness. A few days later, Peter's mother called the number left and went to work. Things were looking up for her. Life was starting to get better, thanks in large part to that fateful letter. Every year on Christmas Eve, John and Alicia remembered this incident with warmth in their hearts. And each time, they made the same wish: that there were more people in the world who cared about each other and were willing to make small miracles for each other. After all, it is moments like this that make up the real magic that is within the power of each of us.